Oh, yes. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Moira Patterson. I'm with the IEEE Standards Association. I work there as Director for Global Market Affairs and Standards Partnerships. And today I'm here to talk about the work that IEEE SA is doing around empowering children in the digital age. And age assurance is, of course, part of that bigger picture. And I just want to take the opportunity to talk about the various topics that we have. But first, I will jump into introducing IEEE in a bit more detail. All right. So I don't know, do we have any IEEE members in the room? Not here. Okay. Well, with a technical audience, usually we will have a lot of IEEE engineers. Maybe here we have more policy folks. Might be the reason. IEEE is a global association with almost 500,000 members. We are actually a public charity, but our members historically have been electrotechnical and electronics engineers. So IEEE works in, we have 46 societies and councils. So technical areas from power and energy engineering, aerospace engineering, computer, communications, etc. So a very broad spectrum of themes are covered by our organization. And our members are in over 190 countries around the world. We host technical conferences. We have over 5 million technical public documents in our library, over 200 top-cited periodicals, and over 1,000 active standards and 1,000 more under development. So that's a big portfolio of work. A lot of that is very technical and very important in the academic community. In engineering departments around the world, you will find lots of IEEE members. But increasingly, a lot of our members are also outside of the technical community. And so let me tell you, I already mentioned earlier, IEEE's mission is to advance technology for the benefit of humanity. And that is really, the big guiding star. And technology has a big role to play in helping improve things when done right. We also, in the Standards Association, we are one of the groups within IEEE. And so we specifically focus on the development of global standards and solutions around that help make technology safer and more sustainable for the benefit of industry, society, and humanity. And here we're talking more about the age-appropriate aspects around that, right? So that's a very important area that we work on. And so that's what I want to focus on today. And standards, importantly, are a bridge from from ideas to reality, or we also like to say from principles to practice, and can be from policy to, how policy can get implemented in product design and things of that nature. So I've already talked a bit about the breadth of our work and global impact that we reach. So IEEE's work is a lot about standards can help actually be the foundation for accelerating innovation. We have a lot of work around also how to incorporate values and ethical considerations in the technology development. Sustainability is an important consideration. Building bridges between policymakers, governments, and translating, the needs of societies into practical applications, looking at technology governance and children's data and well-being. A few relevant portfolios include ethically aligned design and work around AI ethics. That work has been going on in IEEE for about 10 years, actually. So it has also been a very important foundation. Sustainability is another very important area, looking at really big picture sustainability, how to leverage both existing and new technology for sustainability, and as well as looking to ensure that the technologies that get developed don't have too much of a negative impact, or try to balance that and turn it into at least a net a neutral or positive impact. And then we also talk about scaling, because the platforms we have really help scale solutions. Now I'm going to move to focus on the work specifically for children, and I'm going to speak at a higher level here first. Again, historically, our background is in the engineering community, the tech people. And when we look at the evolution of the internet, right, you needed to really be an expert or a geek to be able to access things online. And then as the internet has evolved to be more mainstream, that has become a lot easier. But what didn't keep up necessarily was making sure that as the internet has become accessible to everyone, that we put safeguards in place, or make sure that it is age appropriate for people who are, now have access to it. And so encouraging the engineering community to help step up and figure out how can we make the internet more age appropriate, and think about these things up front as we develop new apps, new online ecosystems, make them age appropriate for children. That has been a really important aspect of this work. It started when actually some UK legislators came to IEEE and said that they were looking to develop an age-appropriate design code in the UK, right? Recognizing a lot of the challenges that were happening. And that for policymakers, it was difficult to envision exactly how you do that, technically speaking. And so IEEE's expertise and being able to mobilize our ecosystem was a resource that was very helpful in this. So we brought together experts from around the world who could give advice, and who could really go through a consensus process, go through the steps and develop a standard on this, and develop guidance on how you can do that. And that was really the basis for our first standard in this space, IEEE 2089, the Standard for Age-Appropriate Digital Services Framework. And that was also based on the 5 rights principles for children. So it was really a child-centered approach, right? Looking at how do we design digital services so that they meet the best interests of the child. From there, then, a standard for age verification followed. So age verification is, of course, an important aspect in meeting and being able to make services age appropriate. And there are other relevant standards in this space as well. We've also done a lot of awareness raising. We've had a number of webinars. We developed 2 case study reports, actually, on children's data governance and on designing services, products for children. And actually, those were very cool because they also featured a variety of existing online tools. Some of them were social media for children that had features such as turning off at 10 or 11 p.m., right? Like by default. Or they were, an online app for kids with autism that offered them services that they didn't have access to otherwise in more remote areas. And there are so many thoughtful feature sets that you can incorporate if you think about those issues up front. That featuring those and showcasing those was very exciting in getting a community together to work on these topics. And actually, here I have a slide from my colleague on the age verification certification program. And I don't know, John, if you want to say a word. There is going to be a session on this topic tomorrow as well, because age verification, we have a new certification program specifically. So
we developed a certification program that was based off of the framework of 29.1 standard. Developed in a little under 6 months, and actually worked with a couple of partners to try to make a lot of that happen. And happily, this month, we successfully accredited a Czech certification scheme to be a certification body to administer the certification program for us. So it's active, live, and Tony Allen and his team are partners in making sure that that the reach is out there globally for the certification.
Thanks. Yeah, and we are excited to have that as part of our portfolio, because I think it's an important tool that, again, I think a lot of governments have shown interest in, and I think, you know, it will be an important aspect of creating that ecosystem.
Well, we're in discussions with some of them now to try to figure out a way to kind of incorporate that into any kind of rules, regulations. At the moment, right now, it's voluntary, but we all know that a standard is only as good as finding a way to enforce that they're using the entire standard and not doing it in accordance with the standard or in the spirit of the standard. You want to make sure that they cover everything, all the requirements that are in the standard 100%. And a certification program really is the only way for you to get that 100% verification that they follow.
All right, and then I'm gonna, zoom out, there we go. One more time and just talk about kind of the ecosystem, because I think it is important to recognize in this space, looking for solutions, it's not always, you know, we have standards in our name, we are the Standards Association, so of course standards are a key aspect and approach of that. But there's a lot of other ways of identifying and building the solutions that are needed, right? So some of it is the program called Industry Connections, which is where stakeholders can come together, and before you have a clear idea of what a standard might have to look like or what the gap is where you want to develop the standard, sometimes the questions are bigger or a little bit less clear what the answer will be, and you can have more of an exploration and incubation group. So we offer a platform by which, you know, interested stakeholders can come together and have those discussions and develop a variety of outputs. Sometimes it's even having a workshop to discuss it. Sometimes it's writing a white paper. Sometimes, you know, it's developing other types of outputs. We also have open source as a complementary platform to our standardization, because often, you know, standards will require or rely on open source aspects as well. We already talked about the certification aspect that can be helpful in this space as well. Under value add products, we also talk about training and workforce development that can be developed on around specific topics. Registries that can be necessary to track either from unique identifiers to accredited suppliers, etc. And then importantly, also around policy engagement. We have a number of activities, including a new program, which is a technology policy collaborative, which is a way to bring together folks from the policy space, but also with technology experts, perhaps, to discuss, again, important topics of how do we, you know, transition a policy into the technology space and implement it. What's needed? How do we best do that? And having access to technical experts who can engage in that dialogue and help figure out what is realistic, what may be practical, what may have been tried and not be so easy, right? Having those dialogues can be a big asset. And so that's something that we also facilitate and think is increasingly important as we see the technology aspects kind of in daily life, right? Having access to that knowledge and having that two-way dialogue can really be valuable to both parties, actually. Yeah, so I just wanted to also share that because I think this can be a very helpful way to engage and to engage in some of these bigger dialogues. You know, it can be very broad. One of the programs I actually want to highlight too is that we have a program right now under development that is looking at raising or creating a very short guide or best practice for engineers who build products for children, and what are the values and the best practice you should follow, right, to make something age appropriate. So as I said, we have a standard that's a big document and it has a lot of very detailed processes. This is more of a 1 or 2 pager that will say, you know, these are the big picture things to keep in mind. It's a very accessible document and will capture the high level things to think about so that more people can actually be aware and say, yes, this is important to me. Let me also, you know, really take this into account and maybe get more engaged in this space in general. So we hope that that will be available soon to, again, help raise awareness of the whole big topic area. And then, you know, specific approaches and solutions will be developed as needed as people identify gaps. You know, IEEE has a very open process as well. So any stakeholders and any experts can start new projects when they identify the need, right? So we started with age appropriate design, but it was identified that age verification would be an important aspect. So that was started. There's other pieces. There's a group working on terms and conditions to be age appropriate, right? So new pieces can come in by anyone who has an idea and sees a need for it and wants to bring a community together to work on it. So we welcome that from any of you. And I will pause here and see if there's any questions or comments. Nothing here, right? All right. Well, then I think I've shared what I wanted to share, and I thank you all for one more comment.
Well, just one thing that for folks that aren't aware, I'm with IEEE as well, and for the non-technical folks, you probably know who we are, you just don't know who we are. So 802.11 is Wi-Fi. So you guys are probably using our standards every day, and one of the best kept secrets to the general population of those non-technical folks. So it's very real that you're here and can interact with IEEE. It's one of the unique things that standards organizations like us are probably the only ones that allow individuals to come and bring projects to the IEEE and can help you have a global audience for those things. So it's really
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Just curious, how do you work with other standards organizations, both industry-wide and private, like NIST, ISO, number of proprietary standards being proposed as well?
Yeah. So there's a lot of modes of collaboration between groups. So, you know, at a high level, I think these types of things involve process coordination and other, you know, structural things. But in many areas, there is coordination to make sure interoperability is met or other things. So there are mechanisms that can be in place to do that.
Do you see these other steps being fully complementary or sometimes overlapping?
It depends, but you know, in many technologies too, standards, there are multiple standards sometimes, and that has, you know, in the marketplace been, you know, I mean, the example we like to give is Ethernet, which, you know, there were other standards to do the same, but Ethernet was the standard that in the end was most successful in the marketplace and became the most widely used standard. So, you know, that that is part of the global development process. Yep, the market-driven process. Yep. Yeah. All right. Thank you all. And I think we are at the end of time anyway. So have a good rest of the day.